What is up, everybody? Welcome on into the call-up. Susanna Collins alongside the ravishing Jillian Sakovitz. How you doing, girlfriend?
Oh, I am good.
Yes.
I feel like we are providing an educational service today.
You guys, this has got to be one of our most interesting episodes that we have ever done. We have our good friend Mike LaBelle on. And if you're not familiar with Mike LaBelle, he is very big in the gaming world, particularly FIFA. I will be working with him this weekend on the eMLS Cup final broadcast. And he kind of opens the door, he pulls back the curtain on this gaming world. We find out how he got his start, when he realized he could make a career out of this, how to increase your followers, which Jill and I were very interested in learning from the guru, as we've been calling him. But just a lot of really interesting information from Mike LaBelle. This was a fun one. And speaking of eMLS Cup, I just have to give some love to the eMLS folks who sent me this custom-made kit. This is so cool. I believe this is the first time that I've ever gotten one. Look, there's a trophy on the sleeve, but you can go to the MLS store and buy these, and all the proceeds go to Special Olympics. And there's only, they only made, I don't know how many they made, but there's not a lot. So they're going to sell out. Limited. So go get one, because all the profits go to a really
right now
good cause. But thanks, guys. I'm excited. I think I'll get to wear this weekend, which is great because it takes out the decision making for me. I don't have to plan an outfit. I can just wear a cool jersey.
You make it look good there, sister.
Thanks, girlfriend.
Before we get to that fascinating conversation, Susanna Collins, we are here for 2021. Last week, MLS announced all the home openers for all 27 teams in the league. So on that note, we are going to do one thing that we are here for every team. One thing that you at home can look forward to. Now, these are hard-hitting and intense. So get ready for them and mark your calendars. There's lots of games on national TV, including LAFC in Austin. That game is on Saturday, April 17th on Fox, and Inter Miami taking on the Galaxy on Sunday, April 18th on ABC. Just a few of many, many games.
Are you ready, Jill? The first team we are going with, big surprise, Atlanta United. One thing you're excited about.
How scary is this freaking team going to be? Because Joseph Martinez angry emoji is back, and Gabriel Heinze has been quoted as he's so mean and ruthless and wants to win so bad that he would kick his own granny. Sir Alex Ferguson said that. So it's like Gabriel Heinze and Joseph. I think they're going to scare everyone.
Okay. So scary Atlanta.
Scary
Love
Atlanta.
It. Okay. What about the New England Revolution?
Is Bruce Arena going to make them the LA Galaxy dynasty of the East?
Ooh, tasty. I like that one. Okay. The Philadelphia Union.
Revenge spending is a word I've heard a lot, that people now who haven't spent are going to be revenge spending. Is Jim Curtin going to revenge spend and have a sick wardrobe? Like sicker than usual.
Oh my God, I know, because he's up there for us. We've talked about
that. But does he
Love it. Okay, the LA Galaxy.
Chicharito.
Obviously. Duh. I feel like this is going to be a big season for him as well. Okay, RSL.
So I have been to every MLS city, whether it's like covering a training, this and that, but I have never watched a game in Rio Tinto.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
And I want to see that beautiful stadium with the mountains in the back. We've been to Rio Tinto, Suze.
Yes, you and I went there, but
I've never been to a match at Rio Tinto.
I was able to go to a playoff game there back in 2018, and it must
have been a while ago.
Awesome. Yes, it was awesome. I love that stadium. Okay. My turn.
Houston.
Oh, okay.
Besides Mike LaBelle.
Besides Mike LaBelle and the awesome rebrand. So this is my wish. This is more of a wish for them. So if you guys watched the Grammys this past weekend, Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce won a Grammy award for their performance of Savage, and they are both Houston natives. And so I just would really welcome a Beyonce Megan Thee Stallion appearance somewhere at BBVA Stadium.
H-Town.
Let's go.
Red Bulls.
I am excited that the Red Bulls will hopefully not have to share their stadium with NYCFC this year. In addition to seeing how they do under Gerard Struber. But yeah, it was a little awkward, I'm not gonna lie.
Orlando.
Orlando. I cannot wait to see Rodrigo Schlegel goalkeeper jerseys in the crowd because their fans going to be allowed now. And you know that after his heroics in the playoffs last year, that there are going to be some of those goalkeeper jerseys. And yeah, here for that.
Dallas.
Oh, duh. Lucci's outfits in 2021. Hello, our best dressed coach. We dubbed him that, and our word is everything. So just so everyone knows that we are the official fashion police of MLS. Just want to put that out there. But yes, I cannot wait to see what Lucci brings fashion-wise in 2021. Jill, what are you looking forward to for Seattle?
Who are they without Jordan Morris?
Oh, that just made me sad.
It makes me very sad, but it's the first thing that comes to my mind.
I know. No, I get it.
Can't all be rainbows and butterflies.
I know. Okay. Montreal. Club de Foot.
Club de Foot. How does the snowflake assert itself in Montreal culture?
Oh,
good
question.
Okay, when I tweet about Montreal, I always throw in the snowflake. Like, it's on the scarf, but what level does the snowflake assert itself into the everyday of the fans?
Yes, that's a very good question. Okay, LAFC.
Dole Whip with Susanna Collins at Banc of California Stadium.
Yes, Dole Whips all day.
We will go there.
It'll happen. DC United.
Again, a who question. Who is this team now? Ben Olsen was there for 20 years, and I know that he's sticking around in a front office way. Who is the new DC United?
Love.
Did you pick these cities? Nashville.
Galena assigned these, but I think she knew that Nashville always has a piece of my heart. And the big reason why is because of the supporters. And last year was such a bummer because we didn't really get to see the amazing supporters of Nashville at all last year. And I am so excited for them to have a full season to be on display. You got a taste of it. You were there.
The home opener, that's right, versus Atlanta.
The roadies, they are they're really, really special. And I'm just excited for them to have a spotlight shown on them this season. Yay.
As you should be, because it was something fun and special and a lot of tunes going on.
Lots of music, yes.
Chicago.
Oh, you guys, Chicago, they're going to play some games at Soldier Field. I was so excited for this last year. I was supposed to go to their first game at Soldier Field last year, but then COVID happened. Wah, wah. And so it's just been amazing. I've been going to Soldier Field to watch Bears games for my entire life, and it's just a really special place. It's beautiful. It's right on the lake, and I am so, so excited to watch the Chicago Fire play there. It's not the first time that they've played there, but it's sort of this homecoming, welcome back, good feelings all around. Very excited.
Vancouver.
Okay, so Vancouver, they're going to be playing in Utah because of the COVID rules.
Right.
So for the start of the season, they're going to be playing at Rio Tinto. But what I'm looking forward to is them being able to return to Vancouver and then me being able to go to Vancouver to watch them play, because that is the only MLS city that I have not been to, Jillian Sakovitz.
And you know what makes me sad about that?
I'm ready.
Atlanta aside, it is the best MLS city in the league.
Everybody says that, and everybody tells me how beautiful it is, and I have not been able to go. So I'm excited for them to return to Vancouver so I can go watch.
Stunning. NYCFC.
I am excited to get Ronnie Dyla on this podcast. We're putting it out in the ether right now. It's going to happen. He is apparently a character, and I feel like you and I would have a good time. Miami. Inter Miami.
If and when photos of David Beckham and Phil Neville hanging in South Beach surface on the internet.
That's so good. That is so
Even
good.
if they're eating steak, I just want to see it.
So good. I love
whatever
it.
they might be doing.
Perfect. Columbus.
Do they repeat as champions? Scary good. Not many changes. Who can beat this freaking team? And I'd like to see Caleb Porter. Like he's always been like the younger coach with like the chip on his shoulder, very serious. I'd like to see him let loose a little bit.
I agree because he can do it.
I think it could be fun.
I've seen him like not in coaching situations, and like he's a real easygoing guy, but you never get that from him.
Let loose, CP.
I like it. Okay, Sporting Kansas City.
We discussed this yesterday on Extra Time Radio.
Mm-hmm.
You brought to my attention that Peter Vermees has been wearing cut-off shoulder shirts, letting the guns show fly.
PV,
yeah,
PV
so PV in cut-off shirts is what I'm looking forward to.
Yes. I'd love to hear his take on that too. That's great. Toronto.
So Toronto with the Miami flair is kind of the best of both worlds. Toronto's like this gritty, tough, veteran team. And now, as you mentioned, due to pandemic rules, they will be playing down in Miami. So like, who is Toronto with a Chris Armas and Miami flair? Just curious.
Good. Those are big, big question marks. I love it.
Susanna Collins, San Jose.
Wando. This could be his last season, Jill. And so I just want to take in all the Wando goals that I can if it is in fact his last season in the league. We just need to appreciate it.
I don't want to know a world without Wando.
I don't either.
Give him 5 more years. Minnesota.
I am here for new beefs between Adrian Heath and the media because, last we talked about it. Like he just exhausted this narrative of Minnesota being the underdogs, and it just doesn't work anymore. So I can guarantee you Adrian Heath is going to come up with some other beef with the media, and I cannot wait to find out what it is.
Colorado.
I am excited for them to surprise people because I think they will. I think they're one of these dark horse teams, especially in the West. They've got a lot of young talent. Cole Bassett, Jonathan Lewis. Don't sleep on them is all I'm saying.
Portland.
I am so excited for the return of Sebastian Blanco because I was so devastated last year.
Yeah, that was
he went
sad.
down with the ACL injury because he was straight up having an MVP caliber season. And I've just missed watching him. So I'm excited to hopefully see him pick up right where he left off.
Cincy.
Since their new stadium.
Heck yeah.
Their new stadium. I feel like this is like for Cincinnati, like let's press the reset button. We're getting a new stadium. We've got some new signings. I think it's opening on May 16th. So we have that to look forward to. And I've seen some pictures. It looks absolutely beautiful. I just feel like that in itself is going to kind of like reinvigorate this team, and hopefully they can score some goals in their new stadium.
Oh, now you're talking.
That's what I'm here for.
Austin, the newest team to Major League Soccer. You mentioned new stadium. They're getting that. They're the new team, number 27. Yep. What are you excited for?
Oh, duh. Matthew McConaughey appearances at the game. Like I feel like he is going to be one of these dudes that shows up a lot. And I can't wait for those cameos.
Okay, this is why we're co-hosts. Mine was Matthew McConaughey coming on the call up live in Austin.
Yes.
Our AT&T 5G call to the field ahead of the eMLS Cup final this weekend. We welcome in our friend. He's a creator, a presenter, an analyst. He works alongside me on E-League's FIFA 21 coverage, along Susanna Collins with eMLS. Mike LaBelle.
Thank you, both of you, for having me. I appreciate it. The energy is good. I can't believe you got through that. That was a lot. I've never gotten so many compliments or different roles that you've attached to me. I appreciate it. So a little bit of everything. We're sprinkling.
We do pride ourselves on our intro here. We really like to pump up our guests on call-up. But Mike, you deserve every single accolade that we threw your way and so much more. So let's get into it. Like, okay, Mike LaBelle, you were/are a gamer, and now you've kind of transitioned into like this creator phase. So like, this is what we want to know. We want to kind of pull back the curtain for people that don't understand like professional gamers and then the life that comes after it. And for someone like you, like if someone calls your parents and was like, how's Michael? What's he doing? Like, what do they say Mike LaBelle is doing right now? Like, how do you summarize it like in a sentence?
That's a great question, because at this point, I'm not sure how my parents would answer that question in
So
terms
pretend,
of
ring, ring.
what is your 31-year-old son doing right now? He's still playing video games a lot. He's got some sort of office. I'm not sure what happens in that office. A lot of bright lights. He talks to himself a lot. He talks too much to us on the phone. I'm confused, but
He's
he likes it.
incredibly successful. So, like, what is the sentence or the two that, like, what are you doing in 2021, Mike?
Well, 2021, I mean, I guess we're kind of just getting underway right now, but we've done a lot with, and you're part of a lot of the broadcasts with the competitive ecosystem, which I've always loved esports from the beginning of times, basically. I feel like I was ahead of my time, because when I got started in esports, so not just video games, but really interested in competitive video games, I want to be involved. What's happening? What can I consume? Was like 2005, 2006. But at that period of time, even the best guys, or the greatest players, the guys that were star-studded, we're talking MLG days or Counter-Strike or Quake or Unreal Tournament. I don't know if you played any of these games or if you're familiar, but those guys weren't killing the game.
Does Grand Theft Auto count?
Sure, but I mean, you couldn't compete in Grand Theft Auto.
My childhood of a video game, like, I used to love to sit around with like my little girlfriends and play Grand Theft Auto.
It's a classic. Everybody should have played, should have that as a vintage title. There wasn't an esports sector. I guess the point that I'm trying to make, there wasn't social media involved. For example, I don't think I got a Facebook account, first social media account outside of a MySpace that I had for like 6 months. But all right, I had MySpace, I think it was 18. I had a Facebook when I was 19. But that's dating back to 2008, 2009. And this is the same time that I'm already consuming esports. I don't even think it was Twitch. I think it was Justin TV. There wasn't, like, YouTube wasn't a thing yet. Like, YouTube existed, but there wasn't monetization. People went there to get information. It would be like, how do I tie my shoes? How do I not ruin my clothes? How do I cook better than what I'm currently doing here? I don't want to burn everything that's happening in the kitchen. That's what you were going to YouTube for. You wanted informationals.
This is wild. Like, it's just listening to you and like the verbiage that you're using. It is an entirely different world, and a world that a lot of people aren't necessarily familiar with. But you have been in this, as you said, like, since you were a young kid. At what point, Mike LaBelle, did the lights kind of go off in your head and you realize, like, oh, I can make a career out of this? Like, I could be a professional gamer. This is going to lead me into my future. When did you know that?
I knew that I was gifted at FIFA, or being able to compete in 2007, because I was able to get to a FIFA Interactive World Cup, which is now the FIFA World Cup.
And how old were you at this point, like, approximately?
17 years old.
Okay.
But I didn't necessarily foresee a career other than, if I like doing this, I'm sure other people like doing this. I'm sure there's potential here. But there wasn't something that you had in terms of a prereq. So right now, for example, you can see on Twitch all these guys that are successful and have viewership, and they have these big audience. You can see people competing all around the world. You can see what's happening on YouTube, and the guys showcase like their lifestyles, and they're able to support themselves, and they're no longer in their parents' basement, which was the big, I guess, stereotype when I was growing up is, well, can you make any money? Why are you wasting your time doing this? How is this going to be a career?
Though?
I mean, I used to run an Ethernet cord through their home.
Like, wait, that's what I do now.
Like 100, like 100-foot Ethernet cord. They hated me. They hated me at 17 for sure, because I was yelling and screaming. I breaking things. I always had that in my system, but there really wasn't a turnaround. What I was playing for trips, basically, and I got this opportunity to travel the world, which was super thankful for. I didn't come from a background that was ever going to be a luxury that we had in our families. So I remember at 17 is when it got a little more real, because I qualified for the FIFA Interactive World Cup, and I got 2 tickets to Amsterdam. And
good city.
Yeah, great city. And my dad came with me, and they were like, I cannot believe that someone is willing to pay for a trip for you to go play FIFA. And that was like some sort of a transfer. They didn't understand anything from there, and there was a lot of ups and downs, and it definitely wasn't residuals, and there wasn't opportunity necessarily to be a pro. We were all semi-pro gamers. So even though I was maybe at a pro level, there weren't sponsors and brands and partnerships. That didn't exist yet. There wasn't this content creator equilibrium or ecosystem that had been developed. It hasn't got there yet. I wish I was born maybe a little bit later, because I feel like now let's say you turn pro at 16 years old, and we talk about it all the time. All of us here, actually, all of us talk about a lot of these guys that are up and coming, and they're 16, 17, 18 years old. So in theory, if you had 5 to 7 years of being really successful, you might be done working for a while at 25.
Because there's hundreds of thousands of dollars to make.
Hundreds of thousands.
I mean, it depends. Like, we can't measure it, but of course, if you're winning everything, when we look at some of the most successful FIFA players, I would say there's been opportunities here for a few guys to make $500,000 plus a year.
Wow.
There's more of a competitive calendar. That's the biggest shift. When I was playing, there were tournaments. Like when I first started, there were tournaments here and there. But there wasn't, okay, we're going to have 6 events this year. We're going to have these amount of regionals. They have a larger scaling. For anyone that's new that's listening to this, I would consider the competitive FIFA scene similar to golf or maybe tennis, where you have minors and major events, and you get points allocated how you perform in those events, and they add up to the overall ranking. And then at the end of the year, we have our big event, but based on where you finish between all these events.
That's helpful. That's a really helpful analogy.
He used the tennis analogy on our EA qualifier a couple weeks ago, and it was just genius, Mike LaBelle. So take me through it. For people that are listening and hear him saying FIFA, you know, he's obviously talking about like the video game FIFA, and, you know, you win these events and you can make money. And these kids, like you mentioned, like you're really, really good and you're winning a bunch, like from 17 to 20, you get enough money in a house to buy yourself enough money in the bank to buy yourself a house and not have to worry about anything else by the time you're like 20 years old, which is incredible. But it also comes from like monetizing, like on YouTube, as you mentioned. You know, you look at these guys who have become characters and villains and whatever it is on YouTube, and they have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and they make their money that way by sitting at home and creating content or being out and about and creating content. So that's what I want to ask you about, Mike LaBelle. So you're a gamer. You convince your parents, like, okay, I want to go to Amsterdam. Maybe I'll make a little bit of money. But then it becomes the next kind of evolution of becoming a content creator and, you know, an influencer on social media and all that. Can you take us through that development of when you realized that that was the route you were going to go? Because that is an incredibly niche thing to know about. And for me, it's fascinating of you had to probably teach yourself, right? You don't go take a class on this in high school of, okay, gaming's fine, but like, if I really want to kick it up a notch, I need to go here. Like, how did you make that jump? And like, can you teach us?
Sure. Let's fast forward. So from 17, 18 years old, you're now going to college. And throughout this period, we really didn't see a bunch of evolution. So there were still tournaments, but we don't have a competitive ecosystem. Social media is growing slightly, but it's not going to I don't want to sell something that wasn't there. It wasn't present at the time. However, by the time that I was getting close to graduating from university, now you're starting to get real with your life. I'm still playing FIFA at the highest of levels, but I'm not ready to give it up. I can see that there's maybe hope, or there's dreams, or there's ambition here. And I also felt, and this is gonna be funny, on YouTube in particular, I was still going there to watch, I guess, informationals almost. I was getting improved informationals, and I always felt they were really boring. They get you from point A to point B. So same thing. How not to?
You mean gaming informationals? Like
no. How do
I make mac and cheese?
Correct. So I for me, the video was the 2 videos that kind of like put me on to, all right, I think I can do this, but I can do it in a different way. I didn't know how to tie a tie because I was going to job interviews. And I was always ruining laundry because I didn't realize there was a third category. So you have colors, you have whites, and you have like a gray category. And it's like, that makes sense. There's another category. And I remember watching these videos, and they're super boring, but they told you how not to ruin your clothes, how you'd avoid staining, how to get stains out, how to look like you were an adult, you name it. So I'm watching those, and I'm thinking, man, I bet you I could teach people how to play FIFA in a more entertaining way. And that's where it started. Yeah, that's
God, man, you're like the OG. Seriously,
that's
incredible.
That's what
foresight.
Yeah, that's what I thought, and I was like, cool. Let me go into this. But you're completely correct. It's so different now than it was then. So then, you were everything. And even if you get started right now, you might also be everything. And what I mean by that is you are the editor, you are the videographer, you're the creative, you are the guy that's reaching out for businesses and brands deals, you're the person negotiating those same deals, you are setting up your live stream, you name it, everything is going to be you, especially in the early time period, or if you want to date back, because we're going back to maybe 2013, so 8 years ago. And I didn't know how to do anything. All I knew how to do really well was play the game, but I had no other skills. I could not speak to a camera. I always struggled with speech impediment, which is kind of ironic now because I speak for a living. So I had all the things that were not good, basically terrible across the board. And a lot of my word choices are less than traditional. I would consider myself an unorthodox speaker that acts as a liaison between a community feel of people that are authentic to the gaming world and the gaming space, and then maybe some of the old school or the guys that got a little extra age on them and they're trying to get involved. Like, what am I missing? You watch one video
makes you
and
the beautiful Mike LaBelle, my friend.
Exactly. We love it.
It's different. Good, bad, or in between. I don't know, but it's definitely unique to yours truly. So I like. I can at least be myself throughout everything that I'm doing. But that was kind of the transition period, and then I was learning. And there wasn't a lot of money there, but I saw potential, and I saw a future in this. I enjoyed it, especially since I was really bad at so many things. I don't know about you, but that challenge interested me, where I was like, I think I could get better because this was really bad. I'll give you this. This you're gonna smile out of, I think. So when I first started, when you're editing videos, I had no face cam, so forget about a camera. No cameras on. I was doing a voiceover and I had gameplay showing, but I struggled so much with speaking that I would link together 30 seconds and 30 seconds and 30 seconds and 30 seconds to make an 8-minute video or a 6-minute video. So it ended up being so many takes. You could just imagine in those 30-second windows, especially if you're critical of yourself, you're like, again, retake, again, you can do better, again. So it was really repetition based in terms of figuring out how to speak better, getting more comfortable in front of a camera, and then kind of owning who you are. Like, you want to have like some different phrases. You want to talk about the razzle and the dazzle. You want to talk about sparks going off, handing out cakes, cutting the cakes, eating the cakes. Then you got to build that up, because you're not going to be able to express that if you feel subconscious. Self-conscious. I was there.
You're the Walt Clyde Frazier of gaming. What can I say?
I misspeak all the time, but
it's called LaBelle-isms. It's called LaBelle-isms, which we have our emotes that we use. In fact, do I have mine?
Yeah, do you have a little sign? I have the sign somewhere.
I do. It's right next to me. Here we go. LaBelle-ism. For those of you listening, it is Mike LaBelle's face with ism next to it. But whenever Mike comes up with a little phrase that we're all kind of like, what does that mean?
Funny.
We whip that out. The emote. LaBelle-ism.
Genius.
It's amazing.
So
it's amazing.
Your takeaway should be, if you ruined your laundry, watch one of my YouTube videos.
No, I think, Mike, like all of these stories just kind of go to show, number one, your vision. You really were sort of ahead of the curve in so many ways, but also your work ethic, which I think is pretty remarkable. You have your hands in so many different things, and it's one of the things that I know Jill and I both admire about you a lot. And one of the experiences that you've had, so you guys, you've all heard me talk about eMLS. We've got the eMLS Cup final this weekend. So basically, if you're new to the eMLS scene, this is essentially what it is. Not every single MLS club, but most every MLS club has a representative that they sign to a contract, literally like a player, and they play FIFA and they play in these tournaments. And so Mike LaBelle and I are part of the broadcast team for all of these streams, and we watch these kids, e-athletes, what have you, play FIFA matches, and it's so much fun. And we have an incredible time, and Mike is an amazing analyst. But before he was doing these broadcasts, Mike actually represented the Red Bulls as their eMLS player. So you were literally, they signed you to a contract. You're wearing your Red Bulls gear now. I know. Yeah,
I'm lined up right now. We're
very,
good to go.
Very closely affiliated with the club. But what was that experience like? Because that was the first season that eMLS existed, and you were the guy. Can you kind of just tell us what it was like repping the Red Bulls in the inaugural eMLS season?
Well, it's life-changing. As you could expect, this kind of adds credibility, and it's a nice, it's a really, really wonderful moment for any, I think, pro player or somebody who aspires to be a pro player or has put in a lot of years of grinding. To be able to have something that legitimizes you. Everybody looks at a sports organization and says, well, they're this big structured organization, and now they're signing esports athletes. And you have a competitive season. You've got League Series 1, League Series 2, eMLS Cup. And it allowed me to also move to New York, which was
Yeah.
really, really big shift coming from Houston before that. And I'd been grinding for so many years. So now I've gotten into the content world. I'm still competing. I'm working with the New York Red Bulls. I'm working with Red Bull. And I got to give a lot of credit as well to at the New York Red Bulls. I don't know if you know her, either of you, but Jane Boosman-Wise.
Yep.
Yeah, she's really progressive. She's been able to see the value as a marketing tool of having gaming, the value of people just consuming gaming in general, the fandom that's there. It's another way to engage your fans that are already part of the club, and then also to re-engage fans that maybe aren't as active as they were, and to reach new fans, because everybody plays FIFA. The amount of people that I knew in college, for example, that did not grow up with the love for soccer. They didn't know the sport. They weren't involved playing the sport, but they enjoyed the game so much. They were like, how can I do more? Who do I cheer for? What's my club going to be? What's my supporting team? Because they don't have that background. They don't have family history in it. None of the above. And FIFA was the way that they got drawn into it. They know all the stats. They know all the players. They know all these intricacies and particulars, even more so than a lot of traditional fans, because they're so dedicated to the game. And then they transfer over. They cross over and become fans. So I guess it's a very long answer of saying that it changed my life in many ways. You're seen differently as well when you're signed to a massive organization. And a lot of these guys that are kids, so maybe you get your first opportunity at 17, 18, 19 years old. I don't even think they realize how big it is to be one of one in many regards, where you're representing this club, for many of them, also a local club. So they lived in that city, they're from the area, to be able to have that opportunity to then take that to not only the national stage, but the international stage as well, when you're going to the different competitions throughout this ecosystem that we keep bringing up in the FIFA scene. But I think it's super exciting. I've been super grateful. I'm really happy to still be part of the organization. I was definitely a big process in bringing George into the club. George won eMLS last year. And that's another local kid that's out of Queens, didn't have a lot of competitive history, but I felt like he had a lot of potential. We chatted, we talked, we did different interviews, we played some tournaments. There were things that happened locally, kind of behind the scenes. And George signed last year, won everything, amazing in his rookie season. And this year he's poised to definitely make a run for it in eMLS Cup.
You mentioned eMLS Cup and him referring to George as George Adamu of the New York Red Bulls. Now let's talk about the other side of the Hudson River with New York City FC. NYC Chris, Mike LaBelle, is going for the treble, the 3-game sweep, whatever you want to call it. He is going to try to make history this weekend with number 3. Can Chris do it?
Can he do it? For
sure.
Does
he do it?
I don't know that. I don't know that he does do it. I mean, the percentages say that he shouldn't do it. Just the fact that you're winning versus the best players in North America for multiple events, the odds just say something's going to go against you. The ball's not going to bounce your way. Maybe you have a misstep or a missed moment. I'm not here to bring any negativity his way, even though I would love for the final to set up where you have that New York Derby match, because currently George Adamu and NYC Chris are on opposite brackets, so they could meet in the final. That was the final last year where George, of course, won.
Yeah, it was exciting.
I would love to see that as a repeat. I might have a little bit of a bias, but I think even from a fandom perspective, that when those two go up against each other, everybody tunes in, because they're not just superstars within New York or within North America, but they both travel well, especially Chris. Chris is a world champion. This is not some ordinary Joe. This is a guy that's been a top 10 player in the world in multiple iterations of FIFA. And he won the E-Champions League, which was the first year of having the E-Champions League. And that was massive. That was $100,000 for first place. He's at the Champions League on the pitch with the trophy.
Yeah.
So if not Chris, who?
I think George could do it. I think George could do a repeat.
Red Bulls.
I think there's a bias on that end for sure, but I definitely think George is in a great place from a form perspective. I think X Blue has played amazing in the regular season, but he hasn't really been able to put it together in a bracket. So could that shift maybe coming into this event? That's another guy to bring up. King CJ was decent in the first event, was really good in League Series 2. So maybe he's building in confidence. Ability is there, and he's sitting in a pretty good position. There's a lot of names that could have some interchangeability here. That's what it's all about. You want the best competitors, and with the best competitors breeds mix and match of results. So you got to give a lot of credit to Chris that he's already won 2 events back-to-back this year. Also in the North American events that we've done, Jillian, Chris has been involved in all 3 of them, making the finals on multiple occasions. So he's been one of the most, if not the most consistent player, maybe outside of Jackson, who won the North American events.
And Jackson just won 3 in a row, so it absolutely can happen.
Mike, you kind of alluded to this, that FIFA, it can sort of be the gateway for a lot of people to consume soccer, right? And especially for eMLS. And that's why it has been such a huge proponent of Major League Soccer, and why they have promoted this so much is because it gets people to actually watch and get involved in MLS and care. And one of the ways to do that is to utilize MLS players within the game. And that is part of the eMLS rules. You have to have a certain amount of MLS players on your roster for these tournaments. So Mike, who are the best MLS players in FIFA right now? Like, who do you have on your squad?
Well, you have to have 5 MLS players in your starting 11, which is a very important rule for eMLS. And just to touch on what you said, it unlocks a new demographic as well, because you want to be able to make new fans. You want to create new fans. You want a lot of the younger people. Everybody's involved in gaming. Now, if I were, I mean, these are weird times right now, but if I went to a bar, if I went to a restaurant, you can talk about gaming and everybody knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You drop some references about Twitch or YouTube or some of the most viral creators, and you've got yourself a conversation starter, which it was never like that. Even if you date back 5 years, yet alone going back 10 years. Now, I transition to some of the most influential players that are in MLS that cross over well in terms of performing in FIFA. I really like Dos Santos this year in the midfield. I think Dos Santos gives you a really interesting foot item. He's pretty complete in terms of being able to defend, being able to go forward. You have skill moves. You're always looking for any type of competitive advantage you can get. We also see the likes of Vela, which should be no surprise that Vela is going to make an appearance. Man, scores for fun, makes plays happen. He's been a star, an absolute star. You insert a superlative here to describe what Vela's been able to achieve in MLS. We've seen a lot of defenders used, likes of Aaron Long from New York Red Bulls, who has a upgraded foot item. The same with Ike Opara, the likes of Lima.
Your boy.
Ike Opara, man, the human fridge is what we call him.
We love Ike. Susan and I have such a love for Ike.
Mike, can you tell Jill your story about interviewing him and
he broke my heart. He broke my heart. So Ike Opara has been a player that I've stood behind in FIFA for 7 or 8 years.
I can attest.
You have like an emotional attachment to Ike Opara.
Well, he's done a lot of work for me on the virtual pitch, which
I appreciate that.
That does attach some levels of sentimental value.
Sure.
And you remember that. I was like, I remember when you protected my goal. Thank you, Ike. Thank you so much.
What happened?
And then we were on a broadcast, and I was like, "This is the fridge. He's got everything in the kitchen. He's the oven. He's the microwave. He'll make you breakfast. He's flipping pancakes. This is my guy." Then we get a chance on a broadcast, months later, and on the broadcast, he's like, "I don't really play FIFA." And I was,
That's okay.
Broke your heart.
Yeah,
he didn't. I thought it was going to be mean. Like,
no, he was really polite. He's like, "Mike, it's nice to meet you.
Mike, don't call me a kitchen."
He was lovely, but I could see it in Mike's face. Like, it just kind of like,
okay, we can get past that. It's like when Charles Barkley told me he doesn't like soccer. So I get it. Okay, so Jonah Dos Santos, Carlos Vela, Ike Opara, Aaron Long.
These are put these people on your
Nani,
give us one more,
Nani's good as well.
Nani is
good,
great.
Yeah,
Nani's got a good card.
You heard it here.
We'll just
build that FIFA squad
with
your. You know, it is funny though, because people who don't play FIFA, like when I've been talking to people about who we're going to have on our podcast, like they'll be like, "Oh, sometimes people will, or people who do play FIFA will be like, "Oh, I have him on FIFA." Like they know nothing about him as a soccer player, but they know about him through FIFA. It's incredible.
All right, Mike, are you ready to give us a little lesson? Here.
I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
And this
Tell
is
me.
this is something
Be
you
scared.
are already so well versed in. So I just want to point out a few things. We've said it multiple times here, but Mike does a lot. Okay, like Mike is a very, very busy guy. He has nearly 50,000 followers on Instagram, 85,000 followers on Twitter, almost 300,000 subscribers on YouTube, and 90,000 followers on Twitch. Okay, so you are like a legitimate big deal and a legitimate influencer. Okay,
Where's the butt? I'm waiting for the butt.
No, there is no butt here because we want to know how
Help
you
us
do it. So this is going to be, we're calling this How to Be an Influencer with Mike LaBelle. How to Be an Influencer 101 with Mike LaBelle. Okay, so you are our instructor. And we are going to ask you just some very basic pointed questions, and you are going to guide us on our way to influencer status.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
You
hate
ready
that
for
word.
this?
I hate that word. By the
I
way,
know.
yes,
influencer.
but it's
Let's
you.
be
but
real.
that's-
This is influencer 101, Mike. You got to help the girl out.
Influence. Okay, so starting off, this is just very basic. How do you get people to follow you? How do you do it? Does it differ on each platform? How do you do this, Mike?
I think a big portion is the content. They always say content is key. I'd agree with that, and you have to give people a chance to connect to something that they can connect to. I think a lot of people just post pictures, and there's maybe no video, there's no audio, and there's none of the like. You need more like. For me to know you as a person, I need to know your stance on different things. I need to know how you feel. I need to know how you react. You have to be opinionated, right? Which is kind of risky. Like on Twitter, you don't want to follow a Twitter account where somebody never gives you their opinion. That'd be a really odd Twitter account to follow, in my opinion. Right?
But your
God.
opinion is so scary to put out there because it always
I
goes through your
know.
head like, well, what if okay, I'm gonna say the Knicks stink, right? Because I am a New Yorker and the Knicks are ticking me off. Like, what if the Knicks want to hire me in 2 years? And then I tweeted in 2021 that they stink. Like, these are the problems that nervous Nancy's
It's scary.
have.
Okay, so already we're doing things wrong.
People that give information always pick up followers. So if you provide a service,
Okay.
so if you're like, one of my services, I guess, would be you're getting better at the game. Here's some information. Here's what I think about these players, guys that you should pick up, guys that are cheap, that are actually outperform guys that are expensive, and vice versa. And I'm giving you the insider cookbook again without you having to go elsewhere. So you can make your one-stop shop, and I can give you, here's some ramen noodles. Here's that mac and cheese that we know how to remake and replicate.
We keep talking
it is getting close to lunchtime. You want a medium rare steak? I'll give you that. If you want it well done, go somewhere else.
Okay, so how to get followers? Number one, have an opinion, and off that, have some information.
Information, good content. Okay.
People that give information always pick up followers. So if you provide a service,
Okay.
so if you're like, one of my services, I guess, would be you're getting better at the game. Here's some information. Here's what I think about these players, guys that you should pick up, guys that are cheap, that are actually outperform guys that are expensive, and vice versa. And I'm giving you the insider cookbook again without you having to go elsewhere. So you can make your one-stop shop, and I can give you, here's some ramen noodles. Here's that mac and cheese that we know how to remake and replicate.
We keep talking
it is getting close to lunchtime. You want a medium rare steak? I'll give you that. If you want it well done, go somewhere else.
Okay, so how to get followers? Number one, have an opinion, and off that, have some information.
Information, good content. Okay.
Okay, really serious question.
Yes,
Number
big time.
two, how do you score so much swag?
You have so much swag.
This
So
is
we
much.
know
you guys
you
never
do.
compliment me like this off camera. I just want to be very clear. We're on camera, and I'm getting.
I compliment you
I'm
all
well
the time,
spoken.
Mike
I'm
LaBelle.
hardworking.
I tell you, your hair looks great. I like your
I send you hearts
sweaters.
in text messages. Don't
Yes,
act like
this
I
is
don't.
not
I can
true.
literally look at them right now.
Not true.
Michael,
Not
how do you
true.
score so much swag?
Yes. Tell us.
What
We
does
want
this
swag.
mean? I need.
How does someone send me a pair of like nice
Oh,
sneakers?
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a lot of work with different brands, and I guess I think some of it's your presentation. I think there's a luck of the draw too. I mean, it's relationship based. Both of you, I'm sure, have unlimited supply of Adidas. I've seen Susanna in tons of Adidas. I've seen Jillian in tons of Adidas. So how did you guys do that? Well, Jillian works with Atlanta United. You work with MLS. Adidas is involved with both. So that's a great way now that you're in that little pretty collective, right? So I've done like some commercials with Adidas in New York, for example. So then Adidas is like, all right, this guy's on our list that maybe if we had something that maybe we
I've
think he'd
never
look
been
good.
asked to be in an Adidas commercial.
Same.
You don't want somebody to misrepresent your brand either. I think that's a big mistake. In fact, we're going to take this on a separate tangent, separate rant. This is the biggest mistake that brands make and creators make. They don't say no. There's no problem with saying no.
What I'm learning is that it's a lot of it is up to us, Jillian Sakovitz, and I've been lazy, essentially. It's not just going to fall into my lap. That's the takeaway.
That's why the professor is here. How do you,
Woo!
Mike, scrubbing through your Instagram, Galena, could you pop some of them up for us? Okay. So,
Oh no,
Michael,
the verse.
scrolling
Yes.
through your Instagram, these are
Yes. Look at
absolutely
this.
incredible.
Oh no,
How do you
I'm
get
cringing right now looking at this. Yeah,
how do
go
you
ahead.
get such professional looking shots for Instagram, and how do you know how to pose?
I am not very good actually with posing or taking these types
So
of
who
pictures.
helps you?
I think like what helps is trying to put yourself in natural situations to do your best. So for example, if you had like a shot that looks like you're walking, I'm actually walking. I feel that some people are really good at like they find their look and they're like boom boom whatever. Give the phone to one of your friends and be like, look, I'm gonna walk towards you. If you've got somebody that has a nice camera, some pictures you've got maybe it's at a shoot or maybe it is somebody that has a little more of the creative vision for that in terms of getting a shot. But also it's like the background can do the job for you. So like you might not look cool, but the background looks cool.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Don't you wow me. I don't want to hear that. Both of you
No,
know what
I
you're
need to-
doing. I
No,
can't
I
believe this.
don't.
Don't you play stupid right
Like,
now
we
on this
have no
podcast.
followers. We have no
I-
followers. We don't know
Compared to you,
what
we
we're
have nothing.
doing.
Thank you for being our influencer guru. We have a lot to take away from this conversation and clearly a lot to put into practice. And hopefully I think if we have any questions, we know who to call. Good
Who to
old Mike
ring.
LaBelle. You're the best, buddy.
What is on tap? Well, we are continuing our celebration of Women's History Month, and we are highlighting very real conversations that we don't just have 1 month a year, we have all darn year long, every year. In January 2020, Jen McCarty, the partner of Dax McCarty of Nashville, she gave us some insight into the life of a professional soccer player's spouse who has their own career and kind of the curveballs that come with it.
I remember my VP, she came down from Boston, and Dax had just re-signed the contract. It was just before the holidays. And she asked me, she said, what happens if he gets traded? Would he get traded? What's the likelihood of that? And I think I was at my job for about a year building up. I'm in ad sales, so I was building up my client list, and my pipeline was looking pretty good for the next year. And I told her, no chance. Like, he's the captain. It won't happen. He just re-signed. We're here to stay. And then it was less than 2 months later after that question was posed. And then when he was traded, and then she never talked to me again. Super weird. Literally never talked to me again.
Oh, she is such a rock star. Love that clip. Also, what's on tap? I talked about it at the top of the show. eMLS Cup presented by Coca-Cola is this weekend, Saturday, March 20th and Sunday, March 21st, starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. You can watch on MLS's Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I'll be doing the sidelines, and Mike LaBelle, who we just had on, is your analyst for that. So you want to check it out. Also, guys, the season, the MLS season, the actual season kicks off on Friday, April 16th with the Dynamo taking on San Jose at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus and DAZN in Canada, followed by a Western Conference Finals rematch as the Loons travel to Seattle to take on the Sounders at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on FS1, Fox Deportes, and DAZN in Canada. So much to look forward to. This is exciting.
Buckle up. Head to MLSsoccer.com for the full opening weekend schedule. Guys, we'll see you next week.